So why do a permaculture course with you guys?
Well, permaculture courses really work for a lot of people for them having life-changing experiences. One of the really important things about permaculture is it's positively framed. So one of the principles in permaculture is the problem is the solution. So we're always looking at how we can design solutions. And another great principle is working with nature. So we use nature as inspiration. So a permaculture course has lots of dimensions to it, including a really great social dimension. So that's some of the reasons.
Thank you.
What are other reasons?
Well, just because it really is a life-changing experience. For myself, it entirely changed my direction of what I was doing. It meant I was working more aligned with my values, and it really gets you to explore what is very important. What is important to you, and how you can evolve the way that you live to live in alignment with that.
What comes to my mind is I have a little saying that goes, the most time-saving thing you can do is to stop and think things through. And I think permaculture is very much about a design system that helps you to slow down and stop and really assess why you're doing things, what's the purpose behind it, what's the motivation, what's the reason, and really look at giving yourself more space to redesign your life in more efficient ways, more in alignment with your values, more in alignment with the direction you want to go in the future. So I think, it's a lot of it is focused on design, but the design isn't just how you design a garden, although that's what a lot of people think of it. It's how you design your whole life. Ultimately, it's design tools for life. So it's very important to take the time out and stop and go through those processes, which are kind of universal design processes. Even if you're an experienced permaculture design teacher, you still go through the process from time to time, because it's like a practice of taking time out to reflect upon the efficiency of your systems that you've set up for your life. So it's worth doing. Yeah, definitely.
So on an individual level, but also how it corresponds with the land and your local community as well as the wider, and it's just incorporating all of it, not just the land design, but also how you approach your gardening or your decision making.
Yeah, I mean, it can be very used for very personal projects. You could come to do permaculture because you have something very specific in mind and end up doing something entirely different. Or you could come to it with no idea of where you're going or direction and use it as a framework for finding direction.
Why do you think you might be interested in doing a permaculture course, if we can turn it around,
Oh,
as a possible student?
Yeah, much of what you've expressed. On my personal level is to give back, as well as finding a balanced way to exist in my environment. But I personally, I don't have a base yet, and I don't know if I ever will. So as a traveller, I'd like to learn the skills and land skills, as well as social skills, to make sure that wherever my environment, local environment is, I can interact with it in a familiar way, but also in a responsive way. And so checking out different techniques and even working with different plants as teachers helped me design that fluid way of being. It would be nice to eventually settle and be able to design something that will be there for generations, and it's not just dealing with something now, but also not zooming out too far in the future and trying to solve the whole world's problems for the rest of life. It is keeping a foresight, but not too in the distance, and also catering for myself and how that can also support others. So
What's your experience of being here at COID? Because you're volunteering at COID at the moment, is that right?
Yeah. So my experience at COID has been because it's established, I've been able to land and naturally just find where I wanted or where I needed to learn and what I needed to pick up in order to kind of be resilient myself. And that it started with the herbs and the food. I met Stevie, and it would just happen really nice and organically, and it taught me living in community, but because Coed has been established, it meant that abundance gave room for creativity. So there was scope for me to not have to be in like fight and flight and right, what do I have to do to panic? So it was a really nice introduction into permaculture. It was like, okay, so this is the potential of what can happen, but I think that thought came after. I've only really come back and recognised how, because it is, it's been cared and looked after, and it's kind of not at its final place, but it's in a very held space that, you know, there's no urgency, which on the outside of Coed it feels like there's urgency in the world. So it's a bit like, okay, you can actually just breathe here and think, right, take your time, see which elements I need to work on and which I'm good at. So, yeah, I think that.
Yeah, I was just thinking that one of the things that I want to introduce into the permaculture course is looking at that sort of embodied experience of how do you feel in yourself, because you mentioned that not being vigilant, that you can just land and you can just enjoy the space. And I think that's important to be aware of our whole system. When permaculture is very much about a whole system thinking, but that includes ourselves as well. So how do we operate within the system, and how is our system nutritionally, in terms of your mental health and anxiety, and how do you calm and land into a space? So I think that I'd like to integrate into our permaculture course.
We recognise there's a lot of chaos and uncertainty in the world, so one of the things we want to do is enable people to be feel more able in themselves to respond to uncertainty and chaos, because it looks like that's probably going to continue for a while, and to do that individually and collectively is really important. So that's, as much as anything, that's what we want people to have at the end of the course, so that they can step out into the world or step away from the world, whichever feels right to them, with confidence.
Great.
That summarises a lot of what I think you want to say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.